Welcome into the Satyr Stories podcast. I'm your host, Brian Costa, and we are excited to present to you a new season and a new look podcast format. We're here in the incredible Imagine Lab at Stein Studio here on campus and are ready to do fall sport interviews with some of our great players and coaches. First up, we have from the women's soccer team, Sophia Scalise and Abby Larian. Girls, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Glad to have you guys here. Obviously, you guys are in the unique position with this episode going out, a little bit later this week that you guys have already played, by the time this goes out, 3 games. So obviously, for you guys, back in season, games underway, how is it for you all?
It feels amazing to be back. I think this is like the best time of year when we're on campus before all the regular students are. I think it's just like a special time. There's no stress of like the class. We really are prioritizing soccer. So yeah. I think class is less than 10 days away.
And I know a lot of the girls put in a lot of work over the summer, too, to prepare for this. I mean, obviously, we're in a unique position where we come in guns a-blazing. Like, we're a go, right, as soon as we get on campus. So it's really exciting to be back together again and see kind of that hard work paying off as we start the season.
For you guys, obviously coming off an incredible season last year, making it to the Patriot League tournament for the first time in 7 years and hosting a tournament game for the first time ever as a program, an incredible, experience for you guys. Just, what was that like for you guys getting to go through all that?
I feel like, especially on our team, we talk a lot about legacy and like leaving your legacy. And I think that's one of the things that I think about is just how lucky I am to be part of like a team that gets to experience that type of first. I'd say along with that, there's also a feeling of like almost we're not done yet. And like I know for all of us, really, that was not the way that we wanted to go out, and we could have made it a lot further than we did. And so I think we're using that as motivation to propel us through the beginning of the season, knowing that unfortunately last year we lost on our home field and we were capable of a lot more. And I think we're really pushing to make it further this year and hopefully win.
Yeah, I was going to say pretty much the exact same thing. We talk about like leaving your legacy and leaving the program a better place than when you came in. And I think that's certainly something that we did, especially given that we made history. The team has never hosted a Patriot League championship game on our field, so that was really cool. And I think also it instilled the confidence in us that we know we can do this now because we've made it, so that also raises the standard. And I think that even made us more hungry to strive for more this year.
Yeah, after seeing what you guys were able to accomplish that past year, and you have all the people that returning that you do, how do you build on that? What are some of the things that you guys have really tried to dial in, this time around?
I'd say just with the returning captains, just the fact that we have pretty much the exact same team that we had last year. We have 3 amazing new freshmen that have come in too, but a very similar team than what we had. So I feel like that brings a sense of normalcy, and that like for the majority of what we're going through right now, like the standards have been set, the expectations have been set, and we can kind of work off of that, I guess.
Yeah, I think we do all hold a very high expectation from each other. So I think having the same team coming in, we did a lot of work in the spring. So also coming in July 28th, it kind of feels like no time has passed really between the spring and now. So it's kind of just like keep building and keep working towards the same goal.
Yeah, when this team in general, like getting the chance to look at the identity of this team, what they bring to the table, what do you kind of think that is?
I mean, I think one of the biggest things that we've harped on, especially in these first few weeks, is that like competing aspect. I know in our Syracuse huddle, Graham, our coach, we have a slogan that's work hard, compete, execute, and he actually changed around some of those. Like he said, like work hard, execute, and then really harped on the compete part. And I feel like that's one of the biggest things that we've been, continuing to make part of our identity, like going in confident to battles, winning our battles, that kind of thing. I feel like it's one of the things our team is known for.
Yeah, you're kind of stealing the words out of my mouth. Our principles are work hard, compete, and execute. So I think it's really honing in on all 3, not specifically having 2 and lacking 1. And at the same time, this team is better technically and tactically than it has been in the past. So trying not to shift away from like losing the aggression because we're better on the ball, but combining the two and having the two.
And then you also mentioned as well having 3 freshmen coming in here. For them, what was it like for you guys getting them on the same page? Obviously, you guys have had a chance to play here for 4 years and really learn and understand those things. But what has it been like to get them, to up to speed with things?
I feel like just in general, we have a very welcoming team. Like, I know Coach Graham has done an amazing job. He says making it like a psychologically safe environment, which is 100% true. But I think it's a lot easier when you have new people coming in, when we do have expectations that have been set, but also girls that are kind of welcoming them with welcoming arms.
Yeah, I think it definitely was overwhelming for them, considering that they were such a smaller class than the rest of us. But having said that, I think there are so many upperclassmen with especially big personalities where you can see that the standard is raised and being met. So I don't want to say I think Portugal made it easier for them, but we definitely were in an environment where we were playing less soccer than we would in a traditional preseason. So I think there was also a lot of team bonding and time to create the chemistry. So I think that helped ease them into it and kind of for them to see the standard that we hold.
Absolutely. You kind of took the words right out of my mouth there with, you guys getting a chance to go to Portugal as a part of your guys' preseason trip this year. Obviously an incredible opportunity. Just the soccer aside from it, just what was that experience like?
It wasn't like a traditional preseason. We didn't have double sessions or do as much soccer as we normally would have. But I think it goes more towards the team chemistry and team bonding. I think this is a group of girls, no matter the grade, class, age, that we genuinely really like spending time with each other, being around each other. And I think it just goes to show the respect that we have for each other, and then how that translates on the field, how we talk to each other. And we want the best for each other. So,
yeah. I felt like it was definitely a learning experience in areas too. For many of the girls, it was their first time traveling across the country or trying these new foods for the first time. So it was really cool to get to experience kind of a different culture all together. And we visited a lot of cool stadiums too. I know for me, I've been lucky enough to go to Portugal, and it was a much different experience this time around with the team. It was a lot more soccer focused, obviously, and it was cool to experience some of the teams. And we went to a Benfica game, which was really cool. Yeah. It was not something I had seen before. So
I was about to say, I know the Benfica game was obviously a high point of the trip.
Yeah.
Any other things that kind of stand out? I was going to say, what favorite moment from each of you guys?
My favorite moment was the Benfica game. I had never experienced anything like that. No game in the U.S. even compares to the spirits and the fans out there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would say that too. I mean, we also had downtime too to walk along the beach, and just kind of the little moments in between were really nice too to be together.
Absolutely. Obviously, to start the year, you guys have played some high-level competition. You just played Syracuse. You just had a chance to play Quinnipiac earlier this year, played them to a 2-2 draw. What has that kind of been like for you guys, getting a chance to get into the swing of things and prepare for Patriot League play? How do you think that these opponents have helped prepare you?
I think, we're 0-0 in conference because it hasn't started yet. So I think these games really help to get all the jitters out, or the things that we can tweak to prepare ourselves for conference. Not that we don't want to have a bad record against any of these teams, but I think it really helps prepare us for conference so that we're ready against the teams when it really matters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And when you guys look at the progress that you guys have made over the past 4 years, seniors now, heading, obviously this being the final season, what is probably the thing that you guys are most proud of?
I think that we left the program a better place than when we came in, for sure. On and off the field, I think the team culture is completely different than it was. Our relationship across the board with all the girls is different. And I think years from now, there will be practices and games, scores that you don't remember, but it will be the memories and the girls that you had. And I think also going along with that, Portugal, we did a lot. I think we were really tired at points. Our days were jam-packed, but that's a trip I will never forget.
Yeah, as a sophomore, I can attest to the seniors definitely leaving it a better place. I mean, the culture is better than I ever thought coming in it could be.
Absolutely. And for you guys, obviously, as you look ahead towards, the rest of this year, seeing what is possible for this team, what can you guys say about, the expectations, what you guys hope to see from this year?
We are
to
winning
win it
the
at all.
Patriot League. Definitely.
I love that. That's incredible. Love to see that.
Yeah. We're excited.
Absolutely. Well, Abby, Sophia, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you
us.
so much.
Absolutely. We're going to be going to a quick break. When we're back, we're going to be joined alongside by head women's soccer coach Ben Graham. Don't go anywhere.
More than half a century has led to 14 programs, dozens of championships, and varsity club Hall of Famers. Countless dreams realized, and unlimited potential for the future. Over the course of our history, our women have become creators, leaders, and achievers. Together, unapologetically, we've embraced challenges, seized the spotlight, and pursued comprehensive excellence in everything we've done. In the classroom, in competition, and in the community. Now, more than ever, Holy Cross is committed to empowering and enriching the student-athlete experience for our women's teams. We've celebrated how far we've come, and now you can help us shape the next generation of female student-athletes. Together, we can continue to change the game. Invest in women's athletics to help our women's teams compete for championships, develop leaders, and build a community around women's athletics. Now is the time. Let's continue to make history together.
Coffee with the Crusaders returns this year. Beginning on Thursday, August 27th, you can join Holy Cross coaches and staff at Cafe Nilu at 100 Grove Street in Worcester for coffee and conversation. Free coffee and assorted breakfast items are available while supplies last, with different giveaways each month. For more information, visit goholycross.com/coffee. We're now joined alongside by head women's soccer coach Ben Graham. Coach, glad to have you.
Thank you for having me, Brian. Free coffee sounds delicious.
I know. You a big coffee guy?
Love a bit of coffee.
Yeah, nice. Absolutely. Well, first things first, Ben. Obviously, new season already underway for you guys at this point. 2 games under your belt. By the time this one goes out, a third. How's it being back with this group?
It's fantastic to be, back with them. It's nice to get back to competing. You go from the sudden end.
Sure.
A lot quicker than you wanted it to be in November or October. And then you don't get to play competitive games for 8 games. So to be back out in the field and just to be in the training environment is fantastic. And it's great to be around the group.
We talked with the girls in the last segment. An unbelievable season last year. First Patriot League tournament appearance in 7 years. First time hosting a tournament game ever. Just for you getting a chance to be a part of that and leading them in that experience, what have you kind of seen from them this year in terms of that hunger and that desire?
I think the biggest thing is the belief.
Yeah.
You've got to be able to do it first, to experience it, to understand that you can actually make playoffs.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't describe our season last year as unbelievable. I think unbelievable would have been winning the whole kit and caboodle.
Sure.
I think
Absolutely.
Making playoffs is eminently believable.
Yeah.
We'd like to make it an unbelievable one this year, which I think they are more than capable of. And that's the biggest difference is now you look at them and they carry themselves with a little bit of swagger, a little bit of confidence. They believe that they can win this thing, which is not something that I think is true of all of the groups that I've had, but it's a delight to see.
Yeah, with this group in general, obviously with them getting back into the playoff mix this past year, the success that they had, what is it like this time around, when you have to kind of maybe, reset and be like, obviously, the last season was great, but looking ahead to the slate this time around?
I think that's a great point. I think it's very, very easy to look at what we did last year and go, well, they only graduated 2. By definition, we will improve, but it's not as organic as that. It still requires you to do the hard work. So yes, we've brought back the bulk of the group, and yes, we had a good year last year, but we still have to be doing the same things that we made us successful last year in order for us to, reach the next level, as it were.
Like you said, a bulk of this group returning, all 5 captains, 12 seniors, so much continuity and familiarity with this group. How much easier has that kind of made it for you, just being able to know that the message from them and, from yourself is going to be pretty similar?
I think that's the biggest thing. And, truth be told, I was kind of overhearing them do theirs. And they're using all of the words that we as a coaching staff use. And it's heartwarming.
I was about to say, how proud does that make
you?
It
does. It genuinely does.
Yeah.
Because They are talking about leaving their legacy. They are talking about working hard, competing and executing. And these are these things that we've talked to them about for 4 years on a consistent basis. The message hasn't changed. We just want to make them better at those things. They're our core values. That's what we stand for. How can we be better in each one of those areas?
Yeah. So it's not even just the captains at that point. It's basically all the returners that have really been able to set the tone during this preseason.
It's everybody. And it's very easy to say we have 5 captains, but there is ownership amongst the entire group. You know, the 2 young ladies that I sent to do this podcast, I sent because of the fact that they represent the values that we espouse. Neither of those 2 are captains, but you can see in the way that they carry themselves and the way that they deliver the message, they know what we are all about as a group. And that is true and consistent, I would say, for 26 members of the squad. The freshmen are obviously getting up to speed with it. But the other 26, I think, know what it is that we are all about, and that's what a culture is.
I was about to say, away from the field, you guys had a chance earlier this year to go to Portugal, an incredible trip from what I've heard from you and from the players just a segment ago. You know, what was that experience like, getting the chance to bring them over there and show them what this game looks like, overseas?
It was superb. You know, we have to thank a lot of people, from the administration to the people that financially made it possible. We got a lot of very generous donations that allowed the girls to experience something that is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. And we wanted to give them something a little bit different, a little bit more special. And just because of the fact that I feel this group is on the verge of something great. We knew that we'd be playing less soccer in the first 8 days of pre-season, but we felt that that would be worth it because we think the trade-off is that the bonds that have strengthened on that trip will be there and solid come October when things start to get a little bit sticky, which they will.
Yeah.
You know, it's never going to be 18-0 and plain sailing. There's going to be games where we've got our backs against the wall, and you're hoping that the experience in Portugal will then, bleed into that. But from an experiential perspective, brilliant. And they were so good to be around. They were so receptive to it. They were willing to sample the food. They might not have enjoyed it, but they were willing to try it. They embraced the culture. They embraced the language. It might extend only to obrigado, but or in their case, obrigada. But they did. They tried it, and it was great to see. And what I enjoyed watching the most is how they embraced the soccer culture. They got to experience a Benfica game with 60,000 fans, and I think that was a real eye-opener for them because they saw how soccer is viewed in Europe and the rest of the world, and it is slightly different to how it's viewed here in the US, and they got to experience that.
I was about to say, we asked them about it. I got to ask you, what was your favorite part of the trip? You mentioned this. You mentioned the stadium tours.
I enjoy. Well, I'm a soccer junkie, so
of course,
seeing an empty locker room in SC Braga still gets me going, which is nerdy. I understand that, but I am a soccer nerd, so I make no apologies for it. But I think there was a lot of cool things. We actually got to experience a mass in Fatima, which is a place of Catholic pilgrimage.
Absolutely.
And we did that on the way up to Porto, and it was just happenstance that we managed to experience that on a Sunday. But I thought that was also very, very powerful.
Yeah.
So there was just a lot of little moments that really made the trip very, very special. And it's those little moments that you hope the girls will remember, not just today or tomorrow, but for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, and I got to ask you, favorite dish? What was like the favorite thing that you had to eat over there?
Oh, that's an easy one. They do these little custard tarts called pastel de nata.
Okay.
And I think the coaching staff probably overindulged in that one.
Yeah.
So they were quite delicious.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
You mentioned it, it maybe wasn't a traditional preseason, but what did you and the staff, I think, maybe, take away that maybe you wouldn't have had it been just a regular preseason? What did you kind of really learn about this group?
Just the fact that they're willing to be there for each other.
Yeah.
There's one thing that we did differently is, we have the phone jail where they have to put their cell phones away for certain things. And, we didn't want to take it away from them. We wanted them to be able to share photos with their family. So we restricted it to when we were on the bus and meal times. And we swapped the bus partners. So they didn't sit next to the same person. And so they were sitting with their own teammates. And what I enjoy is listening to the conversations. I shouldn't be eavesdropping probably, but it's quite nice to hear a sophomore talk to a freshman or a junior talking to a freshman, just finding out a lot about each other, and it is fascinating to hear the conversations, because you assume because they're around each other a lot, they know each other inside out, and they don't. And it's a fantastic opportunity for them to just learn about each other and I think view each other in a slightly different light, in more of a human light. Instead of just viewing a soccer player, they're viewing the person as a whole, and it's fantastic to see and watch.
Absolutely. You know, obviously so many different perspectives, you know, cultures, things coming from, you know, all over to make a team. You know, one, you know, big storyline that stood out this past year was, or from this past summer rather, was Allison Teig getting to represent, you know, Team Peru in the World Cup qualifiers down in Lima this year.
Mm-hmm.
You know, obviously an incredible proud moment for you as a coach. You know, what was that like, getting to see her, you know, compete on the national stage?
It was superb. You know, when she texted me to tell me, I was taken aback.
Yeah.
And we've always known about Alison's kind of Peruvian descent, and she'd represented them on a younger level. And we'd had conversations with the coaching staff. But when she told me that she'd got a call up to the full national team, you know, we couldn't have been prouder. And it was fantastic to see the social media presence. It's just phenomenal for her, because she got to experience, I think, things down there. When you talk to her about this, similar to the Portuguese thing, she got to train in the shadow of La Bombonera, which is the most famous stadium in certainly Argentina, if not the world. And to get to do that is very, very cool. And then she got to go to her mother's hometown, Lima, and I think a very, very proud moment for her family, and a very, very proud moment for our program. And it's great to see, and I think it marks a step forward in the evolution of our program, that we are now talking about players representing their country at a national level.
Absolutely. You know, for you guys, you know, looking at the season you're in right now, you know, you opened the season with a 2-2 draw at Quinnipiac. You just played an ACC team in Syracuse, and gearing up for Patriot League play later on this season. You know, how do you think that these non-conference games have helped and will help you prepare?
It's an extended preseason. You know, you want to win every single game. There's
Yeah.
not a coach out there that doesn't. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't think we're going to be getting an at-large at bid. So we've got to be looking to win the conference. So we've just got to be firing on all cylinders by the time we get to Patriot League. And you can see that in the first two games. I don't think our first two games have been polished in any way, shape or form. And as long as we are looking to improve and get better every single game, then I'm reasonably content, as long as they're working hard and competing. You know, the execution pace is the one that is usually the one that we finesse. I wasn't happy with them after the Quinnipiac game, I'll be perfectly honest with you. I didn't think in the first half we competed at all. But these are the things that we learn, and we take every single one of those early games and we focus on one piece. Can we get better at this, so that by the time we open with Loyola, we are ready to go, and we're ready to, you know, hopefully do some special things this year.
For fans getting ready to make their way out to Linda Johnson Stadium this season, what can they expect to see from this group?
Pretty much the same as they've seen in years gone by, but just hopefully with a few more goals.
Sure.
You know, we have always prided ourselves on being hardworking, being competitive, making it a contest, not being a pushover. And I think the difference is this year is we have some pieces in the group that can do special things and score some goals, and that ultimately wins you games, which I think is going to be the biggest difference maker between what we've done in the past and hopefully what we hope to achieve this year.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, thank you so much for stopping by. We really appreciate it.
No, you're welcome. Thank you for having me, Brian.
Absolutely. That was head women's soccer coach Ben Graham. When we're back, we're going to be joined alongside by Jeb Sneed and Archie Hatcher of the men's soccer team. Don't go anywhere.
Hey, Crusader Nation. Decided to kick off another season of Holy Cross football. The team has been hard at work this offseason and has built some incredible momentum this summer, which has resulted in a great start to our preseason camp. We want to once again make Fit and Feel the best game day environment in New England, but we can't do that without your help. The energy, the excitement, momentum that you bring our players is second to none. So let's make Fit and Feel electric on Saturday, August 29th at 3:30 as we kick off the season against the Lehigh Mountain Hawks. Look forward to seeing you all there. Go Cross, go.
The Mount St. James Collective is proud to be the official NIL collective for Holy Cross Athletics. Our mission is to empower Holy Cross student athletes to build and market their personal brands while maximizing revenue opportunities. The collective is also committed to preparing our student athletes for life after college and sports through mentorship and career readiness. Join me in supporting the next generation of Crusaders. For more information, please visit mountstjamesnil.com. Go Cross, go!
Next, alongside with us is Archie Hatcher and Jeb Sneed of the Holy Cross men's soccer team. Guys, how are we doing today?
Very well,
Very
thank
good.
you.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Guys, first things first, just obviously season's right around the corner, just, general excitement. How are we kind of feeling?
Yeah, I think obviously it's pre-season's been a tough pre-season coming in, and everyone's done their work in the summer. But I think the whole group's really looking forward to our first game on Thursday and the season ahead.
Yeah, I think Archie just hit the hammer on the nail there. It was a great preseason. I mean, we were working hard. Guys did the work in the summer. We're all kind of bought in. We know exactly how we want to play, the identity that we want to have, and we're looking to implement that on Thursday. So
Absolutely. A lot of continuity with this group. Multiple starters returning, 9 total seniors on this team. Just for you guys, I mean, what has it kind of been like to be able to have that much familiarity with the team? Jeb, I'll kind of start with you there.
Yeah, I think it's great, especially for myself to be in a sort of a senior leader position this year. It's something that I'm excited to step into, and we have a great mix of some senior leaders, some guys who got some great experience last year, and then some new guys who are really going to help us off right away. So very, very excited for that.
Yeah, I think obviously having so many boys coming back in from the spring, we started building in the spring for the upcoming fall season, and we had a really successful spring season. So I think everyone's really looking forward to putting what we worked on in the spring into practice in the fall games.
Absolutely. For you guys, defense was a major focal point of the team last year. You guys had a 1.28 goals against average. Going into this year, Jeb, obviously doing some work on the defensive end. What is kind of the philosophy behind that? How do you guys, maintain that and try to keep that, going game in and game out? Where does that really start, I guess?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's something that we work on every day, and it's really just dying for the badge. I mean, that's what you have to do back there, and it's never fun, and it's very enduring, and it takes a lot, and you're gonna get a lot of bumps and bruises along the way. But that's something that we really pride ourselves on. Defending our set pieces. Applying really close detail to things like that, working on it in training week in and week out, knowing where the guys need to be. It's something that we really pride ourselves on, and I think you'll see, an even lower number this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, you guys also not only to have, all the starters that we talked about returning, but all the goalkeepers are coming back again too. Just the fact that you guys can have a full room there too, how good does that kind of feel?
It's amazing. Yeah, there's 4 really, really strong goalkeepers right now, and it'll be, interesting to see. We've had 2 games now, but really see who the guy's going to be, who's going to step up and be that leader in the back for us. And I think that's something that we're looking forward to.
Archie, you're coming off a Patriot League Rookie of the Year season, an incredible 2025 campaign. I guess for you, what has been the biggest thing that you've tried to work on throughout this offseason and carry into this year?
I think just I've come from different experiences to players around me, and I think using the experiences that I've had to better the team. I think my sort of experiences back home in England have shaped the player I am today, and just allowing that to help the boys around me and being part of the leadership group and using that sort of my voice. I think that's something I need to work on, and I have been working on, and I've seen a big improvement from the spring to now.
Yeah, and you mentioned, being back home in England, having that kind of development. You're one of 3 English players on this roster, getting the chance to work under Coach Matt Brown and, obviously with him. For you guys, just, what has it been like to, like the 3 of you guys to be able to kind of, have that kind of camaraderie together and to kind of come together over here at Holy Cross?
Yeah, I think not only on the field but off the field, we bond really well together, and I think a lot of the boys are seeing that and are becoming part of it. And it's not just sort of the English guys over here, the American guys over here. We're one team, and I think that's become our motto from the spring to now is we are one team, and we're going to work together as that team to get success for this team and for this program.
Yeah, for you, obviously, coming from overseas, what really intrigued you, I guess, the most about Holy Cross?
I think just the whole college soccer. I wasn't aware of it and how big it was back home, and it's definitely becoming a thing that more players and more of my friends from back home are becoming interested in. So I think just knowing sort of the style of play and the speed of play and the physicality and the difference between athleticism, like the athletes you have in America are sort of second to none, and coming from England and playing in a men's league to coming over here to playing college soccer, it was a big jump, but I think I adapted really well to it.
Absolutely. You guys are doing more than just, the great thing about Holy Cross student athletes is that they're, not just doing great things on the field, but off them as well. Jeb, I'll kind of start with you on this. You had a chance recently to attend the Uplifting Athletes Leadership Conference. Just tell me, what was that kind of experience like for you?
Yeah, it was a great experience. So last year would have been our second year running this as a team. We have partnered with Uplifting Athletes. They're a nonprofit organization who raises money for rare disease research. And basically, the conference was myself and another teammate of mine, Liam Henahan. We went to Philadelphia for a conference and basically just learned about ways that we can use our platform as college athletes to advocate for issues that are bigger than ourselves, right? I think that's what is so special to me about playing for Holy Cross is I'm playing for something much larger than myself. And, being able to use my platform as a college soccer player to, raise money for rare disease research like we did in our Live for Life campaign. We were able to raise over $1,000 in that. And so any amount helps. And so really just how we can use our platform to advocate for others who can't.
Yeah, and then Archie, you've done some fundraising yourself, most recently for autism awareness. Just talk about the kind of like the reasoning behind that. Where you really kind of what kind of inspired you to do that.
Yeah, I think Autism Awareness UK is a sort of organisation that's very close to my heart, my family's heart. I know a lot of people that sort of do fundraising for that organisation, and I thought I wanted to be part of it, and I did it across the month of December. I ran a mile for each day of the month. So on the 1st of December, I ran 1 mile all the way up to Christmas Eve, where I ran 24 miles. And
incredible.
It was a long process, but sort of crossing that finish line on the last day and seeing the amount of money I raised for such an important charity was something that I was very proud of.
Absolutely. Guys, before we go, obviously season starts up this week. I know we talked about the general excitement with things kind of coming up here. For you all, just, goals, things in general, what are the kind of the lasting thoughts that you guys have going into this season? Jeb, I'll kind of start with you on that.
Yeah, I think we start this Thursday. We're very excited. We've had a great preseason, to harp on that again. Finally started to come together there towards the end, and, something really positive to look forward to. And, obviously our goal every year is to make the playoffs, right? Get in the playoffs, and then anything can happen from there. So I think having that to look forward to, we have a few, warm-up games to kind of get the match fitness, get some minutes into the legs, kind of get our identity, really how we want to play up until those first Patriot League games. But I think we should have a good start right away.
Yeah, I think sort of the excitement around the group is a really good thing, because we all know what we're striving for, and as Jeb said, is to make the playoffs. And unfortunately last year that didn't happen, and I think some of the boys, especially the seniors who it's their last year playing for Holy Cross, I think the boys around them, sort of the juniors, sophomores and freshmen, know what it means to them, and we're willing to put everything on the line to make that happen. And as Jeb said, when we get in the playoffs, anything can happen.
Absolutely. Boys, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. When we're back, we're going to be joined alongside by head coach Matt Brown to hear his insights into the season. Holy Cross will host its 4th annual Crusader Community Festival on Sunday, September 13th at the Luth Athletic Complex beginning at 1 p.m. Meet student athletes, coaches, and staff from multiple sports and be introduced to the sports they play and other fun activities. This event is free and open to the public and includes activities for all in attendance, like on-field skill stations run by Holy Cross student athletes and photo stations. To learn more or to register, fans can visit goholycross.com/CCF. We're back now with Holy Cross head men's soccer coach Matt Brown. Coach, welcome to the program. Glad to have you.
Delighted to be here.
Absolutely. We just talked with Jeb and Archie. How are you kind of feeling? Season's right around the corner now.
No, really excited. I think we have a long time off. It's been a great summer, especially with the World Cup in the USA, and it's kind of all of a sudden crept up on us. But I think we're raring to go and looking forward to it. It's the most exciting time of the year.
We spoke with them about the continuity, the seniors, the starters, the goalkeepers that are all back. For you, what have you kind of seen from that group in terms of the leadership and what they've been able to bring to the table this season?
Yeah, I mean, since I've been here, I think we've been on a journey of growth, and we're still on that journey. And it's not this linear pathway. We've had a few bumps in the road, but I feel really confident in the group, especially our leadership group, and some of the work we've done, and with some of the support staff, bringing in Linda Martindale as well has been really beneficial to the team. So, I think we're looking to take a step forward as a program, and, it's how quickly we can do that. But it's still a journey of growth at the moment.
Mm-hmm. The defense obviously being a real strength of this team last year. For you, is that an identity that you believe can be sustained? What is your kind of thoughts about that team, about that going into this year?
Yeah, I mean, if you don't concede, you can't lose.
Yeah.
So that's a great trait. If we look at Cape Verde in the World Cup,
absolutely,
they didn't lose a game, and they managed to get through into the next round in the playoffs. So, I think that's the foundation of our work, and it's going to set us up. So, I think this year we've got to be a little bit more aggressive and try and score some goals if we want to push to win games. But that is the bedrock of who we want to be. If we concede one or less and score two or more, it's not a bad formula.
Absolutely. That's the name of the game. We talked with Archie, about his terrific season last year. Obviously, amazing Rookie of the Year campaign. What have you kind of seen from him, I guess? We talked about him and his kind of individual improvements, but what have been some things that you've kind of noticed with him in his game?
Yeah, I think it's just a challenge for Archie. He has some really good experiences in his youth development as a player. And I think, challenging him to bring that to our program and our team, and hopefully he can go on and put himself in a spot to be awarded in the conference honors again this season.
Absolutely. You talk about, what these guys can bring to the team. Someone else who you brought into the team this year on the coaching staff side was assistant coach Scott Black. Just, what does he kind of bring to the table? What really interested you with bringing him in here?
I think he's got great experience. He's worked at a variety of programs. He's done a lot of coaching development, and I think he's been a key asset, and especially trying to nail down the details in our play and those little minor adjustments that can make a huge difference, especially in the player development side. So, he's been an incredible addition, and some of the work that's being done is, we hope we see the fruits of our labour, when it comes to game day.
Some of that player development, as we mentioned, was with players coming from overseas, mainly in England, with 3 players on this roster. You yourself also hailing from over in England. What has it kind of been like to, bring these guys over here and to, really introduce them into what college soccer and to what all that has to offer?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you utilise kind of your recruiting network, and, I think the understanding of my upbringing as a player, as a coach, and my own journey. I think those guys, they bring something different, but also I think they have a lot to learn as well. For me, college soccer is such a great combination of, getting a high academic education or degree and still playing at a top level in the game of soccer. So, I think there's nowhere else in the world that quite does it, and it's such an appealing place. I think we're very fortunate and lucky with the opportunities that we have here at Holy Cross.
Absolutely. And, as we kind of sign off from there, your guys' expectations. We talked about the willingness and the want to make the playoffs. What is your guys' kind of, on your side, the expectations and the desires you want out of this team this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to go about our work and, every day, and it's the habits that we produce daily that's going to lead to the outcomes that we want. Our focus isn't on the winning, but the performance. And if those performances are in a really good spot, we're more likely to get the outcome that we are. The Patriot League standings come out. Fortunately for us, the game's not played on paper.
Yeah.
So, we're certainly looking forward to going and proving a few people wrong.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, we really appreciate the time. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us for the first installment of the Seder Stories podcast with head men's soccer coach Matt Brown and players Jeb Sneed and Archie Hatcher. If you want to listen to more, make sure you tune in on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, and make sure to leave a 5-star review. Take care and see you next time.